What if I told you elephants not only remember the faces of their friends for decades, but also mourn their dead like we do? These giants grieve, problem solve, even pass down wisdom through generations. But how deep does their intelligence truly go? And what does it say about us? Elephants are among the most fascinating and intelligent creatures on Earth, known for their enormous size, complex social lives, and deep emotional capacity. They are unlike any other animals in the animal kingdom. They belong to the family Elephantidae, and there are three living species: the African savanna elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asian elephant. Despite sharing many core traits, each species is uniquely adapted to its specific environment. The African savanna elephant is the largest, roaming vast grasslands and bushlands, while the African forest elephant is smaller, living in dense tropical forests. The Asian elephant has smaller ears, a domed head, and is found across the Indian subcontinent and parts of Southeast Asia. Elephants are the largest land animals alive today. Adult male African elephants, also known as bulls, can reach a height of 13 feet at the shoulder and weigh up to 14,000 pounds. Female elephants are generally smaller, but still incredibly large by any standard. Asian elephants tend to be slightly smaller, with males reaching around 10 feet at the shoulder and weighing up to 11,000 pounds. Despite their massive size, elephants are remarkably agile and sure-footed. Their feet are specially adapted to support their weight and allow them to move silently, with thick padding that cushions each step. One of the most recognizable features of an elephant is its trunk, a long, flexible extension of the upper lip and nose. It is an extraordinarily versatile and powerful tool composed of more than 40,000 muscles, enabling elephants to perform a wide range of actions, from lifting heavy objects to picking up small items with precision. Elephants use their trunks to breathe, smell, drink, trumpet, touch, and grab. The trunk is also a vital part of their social interactions, often used to greet or comfort other elephants. Tusks are another iconic feature. These are actually elongated incisor teeth made of ivory, and they continue to grow throughout an elephant's life. African elephants of both sexes usually have tusks, while in Asian elephants, only males typically grow them. Tusks serve multiple purposes, including digging for water, stripping bark from trees, and defense. Unfortunately, tusks have also made elephants a target for poaching, particularly during the 20th century, when the ivory trade led to the deaths of millions of elephants. An elephant's skin is thick and tough, ranging from gray to brown in color. Despite its thickness, it is sensitive to touch and can feel pain from sunburn, insect bites, and cuts. Elephants often bathe in mud or dust, which helps protect their skin from the sun and pests. Their large ears serve not only for hearing, but also for thermoregulation. Filled with a network of blood vessels, the ears help to dissipate heat when flapped, acting as natural cooling systems. Beyond their physical traits, elephants are deeply intelligent and emotional animals. Their brains are the largest of any land animal and share structural similarities with human brains, particularly in the areas associated with memory, learning, and emotions. Elephants are known to recognize themselves in mirrors, an indication of self-awareness that is rare in the animal kingdom. They're capable of problem solving, using tools, and learning complex behaviors through observation and experience. Elephant societies are complex and matriarchal. A typical herd consists of related females and their offspring, led by the oldest and often largest female, known as the matriarch. She guides the herd, drawing on her vast experience to find food, water, and avoid danger. The matriarch plays a vital role in the survival of the group, particularly during times of drought or crisis. Male elephants leave their natal herd upon reaching adolescence and may live alone or form loose associations with other males, often forming bonds and practicing sparring behaviors that prepare them for competition during mating. Communication among elephants is rich and multifaceted. They use a combination of vocalizations, body language, tactile contact, and chemical signals to convey messages. Their vocal repertoire includes trumpets, rumbles, roars, snorts, and chirps. Some of their sounds are infrasonic, falling below the range of human hearing, and can travel long distances through the ground and air. These low-frequency sounds are used to coordinate movement between herds, signal distress, or attract mates. Elephants can detect these vibrations using sensitive cells in their feet and trunks. Social bonding is a cornerstone of elephant life. Calves are raised not only by their mothers, but by the entire herd. Other females, known as alamothers, help care for the young, teaching them social norms and providing protection. Play is an important part of elephant development, with young elephants engaging in mock fights, chases, and games that build coordination and social skills. Adults are also known to play, especially in water, where they splash, dive, and swim with apparent enjoyment. One of the most extraordinary aspects of elephant behavior is their response to death. Elephants are one of the few animals that appear to mourn their dead. When a member of the herd dies, the others will often gather around the body, touching it gently with their trunks, particularly around the face and tusks. They may stand vigil for hours or even days, showing signs of quiet solemnity. If the dead elephant was particularly close to them, such as a calf or a longtime companion, individuals have been observed displaying what appear to be grief-like behaviors, lethargy, loss of appetite, and withdrawal from the group. In some instances, elephants have returned to the place where a companion died and interacted with the bones. They seem especially interested in skulls and tusks, handling them with care, as though recognizing the remains. There are numerous documented cases of elephants encountering the bones of long-dead individuals and spending time with them in silence. Even in the wild, where survival depends on constant movement, elephants will often pause when passing the remains of one of their own. This mourning behavior is not limited to members of their own herd. Elephants have been observed investigating the bodies of unfamiliar elephants with the same reverence. This suggests a broader understanding of death that extends beyond individual bonds. Some scientists believe this points to a form of empathy or a recognition of mortality that is extremely rare in the animal kingdom. Despite their power and intelligence, elephants face significant threats. Habitat loss due to agriculture, urban development, and logging is a leading cause of elephant population decline. As human populations grow and spread into previously wild areas, elephant habitats become fragmented. This not only limits access to food and water, but also disrupts ancient migration routes that have been followed for generations. When elephants come into contact with human communities, they may raid crops or damage property, leading to conflict that often results in harm to both people and elephants. Poaching remains a major problem, especially in parts of Africa. Although international bans on ivory trade have reduced demand, black markets continue to operate, driven by high prices and weak enforcement. Poachers often target the largest elephants for their tusks, removing the most experienced and socially significant individuals from the population. The loss of matriarchs and older bulls has profound consequences for herd structure and cultural transmission, leaving younger elephants without guidance or protection. Climate change also poses new challenges. Altered weather patterns affect the availability of water and vegetation, forcing elephants to travel further and increasing the risk of conflict with humans. Droughts can lead to malnutrition and higher calf mortality, while extreme weather events can destroy habitats and displace herds. In response to these threats, conservation efforts around the world are working to protect and restore elephant populations. Protected areas and wildlife corridors are being established to give elephants space to move safely. Anti-poaching units, often staffed by local community members, patrol reserves and use modern technology, like drones and camera traps, to deter illegal hunting. Education and awareness campaigns aim to reduce demand for ivory and promote coexistence between humans and elephants. Sanctuaries and rehabilitation centers provide refuge for elephants rescued from captivity or conflict zones. These facilities often allow elephants to live in semi-natural conditions, forming social groups and engaging in behaviors they were denied in captivity. Many sanctuaries also play a role in public education, helping people understand the complex needs and personalities of elephants. Cultural attitudes toward elephants are also shifting. In countries where elephants were traditionally used in logging or entertainment, there is growing recognition of the ethical issues involved. Some governments and organizations have banned the use of elephants in circuses and tourist attractions, encouraging more humane alternatives, like observing elephants in the wild or in protected environments where they can behave naturally. The role of elephants in their ecosystems cannot be overstated. As keystone species, they shape their environments in ways that benefit countless other organisms. By knocking down trees and clearing vegetation, they create open spaces that support a diversity of plants and animals. When they dig for water, they create watering holes that other animals depend on. Their dung fertilizes the soil and spreads seeds, helping forests regenerate. In this way, elephants are not just inhabitants of their ecosystems, they are their architects and caretakers. Each elephant is an individual, with its own personality, preferences, and experiences. Some are bold and curious, while others are shy and cautious. Researchers have identified elephants who show strong leadership qualities, others who are nurturing, and some who are particularly playful or mischievous. These personalities emerge over years of observation, confirming what many caretakers and scientists have long suspected. Elephants are sentient beings with inner lives as rich and varied as our own. There are also examples of elephants demonstrating altruism. They have been seen helping other animals in distress, waiting for injured companions, and even assisting humans in certain cases. Stories abound of elephants rescuing people from rivers, alerting villagers to approaching dangers, or returning to places where they were treated kindly years earlier. While such anecdotes should be interpreted with caution, they speak to the depth of connection that is possible between humans and elephants. In captivity, elephants often suffer from physical and psychological problems due to confinement, lack of social interaction, and inadequate stimulation. Zoo enclosures, while improving in some places, rarely provide the space and complexity elephants need. Captive elephants can develop stereotypic behaviors like swaying, pacing, or head bobbing, signs of stress and boredom. Many animal welfare advocates argue that elephants should not be kept in captivity at all, unless it is for rehabilitation or sanctuary purposes. The future of elephants depends on a combination of science, policy, education, and empathy. It requires international cooperation to enforce bans on ivory trade, local involvement in conservation programs, and public support for ethical treatment. Technology will play a role, but so will traditional knowledge, especially in indigenous communities that have coexisted with elephants for generations. Most of all, it requires recognizing elephants not just as species to be saved, but as fellow inhabitants of a shared planet whose lives are worthy of respect and protection. They teach us about the power of memory, the importance of family, and the capacity for feeling that transcends species. They remind us that intelligence comes in many forms, that leadership can be gentle, and that even the mightiest creatures are vulnerable. In their eyes, we see curiosity, awareness, and sometimes something that looks remarkably like wisdom. To protect elephants is to protect something irreplaceable, not only for the ecosystems they maintain, but for the insight they offer into the deepest aspects of life on Earth. In a world increasingly disconnected from nature, elephants remain a bridge to the wild, a testament to what is possible when strength is matched by sensitivity, and a call to preserve the ancient bonds that connect all living beings. Elephants are not just notable for their intelligence and emotional depth, they are also remarkable for their memory, which is so legendary that the phrase, "an elephant never forgets," has become common in popular language. While this is, of course, an exaggeration, elephants do have exceptionally strong spatial and social memories. Matriarchs are known to remember the locations of water sources, feeding grounds, and migration routes for decades, even in landscapes that change with the seasons or after long periods of drought. This knowledge becomes crucial during environmental crises, such as extended dry seasons or times of food scarcity, when entire herds depend on her guidance for survival. Beyond environmental memory, elephants also remember individuals, both within their own species and sometimes humans. Studies and anecdotal reports show that elephants can recognize and react to specific people after years apart. In some sanctuaries, elephants rescued from abuse or captivity have responded positively when reunited with past caretakers, displaying excitement, vocalizations, and physical closeness. This capacity for long-term recognition extends to fellow elephants as well, with some individuals reuniting with companions after decades, resuming relationships as if no time had passed. Another dimension of their intelligence is seen in their ability to use tools. Elephants have been observed modifying branches to use as fly swatters, plugging water holes with balls of chewed bark to conserve water for later, and even digging holes and covering them with sand to hide them. These behaviors indicate not just learned responses, but also foresight and creative problem solving. In some controlled experiments, elephants have been able to figure out how to retrieve out-of-reach food by moving objects, standing on them, or using sticks to bring the item closer. Elephants also engage in cooperative behaviors. In group-based problem-solving tests, elephants have shown the ability to coordinate their actions to achieve a shared goal, such as pulling ropes simultaneously to obtain food. This requires not only communication, but also an understanding of timing, turn taking, and mutual intention. In the wild, this cooperative nature is often displayed during group defense against predators, helping stuck calves, or supporting sick or injured individuals. Social learning is another key component of elephant intelligence. Young elephants learn how to behave, find food, and communicate by observing older elephants, especially the matriarch and other experienced females. Calves are taught which plants are safe to eat, how to cross rivers safely, and how to interpret the many vocalizations and signals that elephants use. Without this guidance, elephants raised in isolation or disrupted social groups often struggle with abnormal behaviors, poor health, or social dysfunction. An unfortunate example of this can be seen in some populations, where poaching has removed large numbers of older elephants, particularly matriarchs and adult males. The result has sometimes been groups of younger elephants with disrupted social structures and increased aggression, even attacking other species or damaging property in ways that are abnormal for typical elephant behavior. This supports the idea that elephant society depends heavily on cultural transmission and learned behavior, much like human communities. The reproductive lives of elephants are also unique in several ways. Female elephants, or cows, give birth approximately every 4 to 6 years after a gestation period of about 22 months, the longest of any land mammal. Calves typically weigh around 200 to 250 pounds at birth and are able to stand and walk within minutes. They are nursed for up to 3 years, though they begin experimenting with solid food after just a few months. The long developmental period means that elephant mothers invest a great deal of time and energy into each offspring, which contributes to the slow reproductive rate of the species. Mating behavior among elephants is complex and influenced by both environmental and social factors. Males experience a periodic condition known as musth, during which testosterone levels rise significantly, making them more aggressive and dominant. During this time, they secrete a thick, oily substance from temporal glands on the sides of their heads and may dribble urine almost constantly. Musk males are more likely to secure mating opportunities, but their increased aggression can also lead to conflicts with other bulls and even with humans if they are near settlements. Interestingly, female elephants show a preference for older males, especially those who have previously been in musth, suggesting that experience and genetic fitness play a role in mate selection. This choice reinforces the importance of older males in the population, yet they are often the primary targets of poaching due to their larger tusks. Removing them from the gene pool and social structure has consequences that go beyond individual deaths, potentially weakening the population as a whole. One lesser-known fact about elephants is their complex digestive system. As hindgut fermenters, they rely on a large cecum and colon to break down tough plant fibers, but their digestion is inefficient. They absorb only about 40% of the nutrients from what they eat, which means they must consume vast amounts of food, up to 300 pounds of vegetation per day, and drink up to 50 gallons of water. Their diet includes grasses, bark, leaves, fruits, and roots, depending on availability. This constant need for food and water drives their daily movements and long-range migrations. Because they pass so much undigested material, elephant dung plays a crucial ecological role. It spreads seeds across vast distances, supports insect populations, and enriches soil. Some seeds even require passage through an elephant's digestive system to germinate properly. Dung beetles and other organisms rely heavily on elephant waste for survival, creating intricate ecological relationships that demonstrate the elephant's significance as ecosystem engineers. Another fascinating behavior is their reaction to environmental challenges, particularly drought. In dry seasons, elephants have been observed digging into dry riverbeds to access underground water. These holes are then used by other animals, including antelope, birds, and even predators. In times of food scarcity, elephants may travel great distances, often following ancient migratory paths that have been used for generations. These movements highlight the importance of wildlife corridors, protected passages that allow animals to move between fragmented habitats safely. Elephants are also sensitive to environmental changes and have been known to alter their behavior in response to seismic activity, storms, and even human disturbances. Some reports suggest elephants can detect low-frequency vibrations associated with earthquakes or distant thunder, prompting them to move to higher ground or safer areas before disaster strikes. While more research is needed to fully understand these behaviors, it reinforces the idea that elephants are attuned to subtle environmental cues in ways humans are only beginning to grasp. Human-elephant conflict is one of the most pressing challenges in conservation today. As human populations expand into elephant habitats, the chances of conflict increase. Elephants may raid crops, damage infrastructure, or pose a physical threat to people when they feel threatened or stressed. In retaliation, they are sometimes killed or driven off, leading to a cycle of violence and fear on both sides. Mitigation strategies vary widely depending on the region. Some communities have turned to low-tech solutions like beehive fences, rows of beehives strung on wires that discourage elephants, who dislike bees, from entering farms. Others use chili-infused barriers, flashing lights, or loud noises. More advanced techniques include GPS collars that allow conservationists to track elephant movements and alert nearby communities. In some areas, elephants are guided away from settlements using safe corridors and natural barriers like rivers or cliffs. Understanding elephant behavior is essential to these efforts. Stress signals in elephants can include increased vocalizations, restlessness, or changes in movement patterns. Recognizing these signs can help predict and prevent conflict, as well as ensure the well-being of elephants in both wild and captive environments. Some conservation programs involve local residents as wildlife monitors, giving them tools and training to coexist peacefully with elephants while benefiting economically from their protection. Cultural perceptions of elephants vary greatly around the world. In many Asian countries, elephants are revered as sacred animals. In Hinduism, the elephant-headed god Ganesha symbolizes wisdom, prosperity, and the removal of obstacles. Elephants are featured prominently in religious processions and festivals, though not always under humane conditions. In Africa, elephants are often seen as symbols of strength, wisdom, and community. Traditional stories and oral histories frequently include elephants as wise advisors or protectors. These cultural connections have both helped and hindered elephant welfare. On one hand, reverence can lead to protection and conservation efforts. On the other hand, traditional uses of elephants in labor, ceremonies, and entertainment can result in exploitation if not properly regulated. The key is to balance respect for cultural practices with modern understanding of animal welfare and ethical treatment. Elephants in captivity, particularly in zoos and tourism venues, face significant challenges. Space limitations, social isolation, and lack of stimulation can lead to physical and psychological distress. In many places, elephants are still trained using punishment-based methods, including bull hooks, chains, and deprivation. Over time, this can lead to abnormal behaviors such as swaying, repetitive trunk movements, aggression, or depression. Fortunately, a growing movement advocates for the ethical treatment of captive elephants. Some countries have banned elephant rides and performances, while others are transitioning elephants to sanctuaries where they can live in more natural conditions. These sanctuaries often allow elephants to roam freely in large, enriched environments, interact socially, and receive proper medical care. The long-term goal in many cases is not just to house elephants, but to rehabilitate them and, where possible, prepare them for rewilding or lifetime sanctuary care. One fascinating area of study is elephant sleep and rest behavior. Unlike many animals, elephants sleep very little, typically around 2 to 4 hours per night, and often while standing. Lying down sleep occurs less frequently, and usually only when they feel safe. This behavior is thought to be an adaptation to their large size and vulnerability to predators. In the wild, elephants may go several days without deep sleep, especially during long migrations or in areas with high human activity. Elephants also dream. Scientific studies using captive elephants have shown REM rapid eye movement sleep, which is associated with dreaming in humans and other mammals. What elephants dream about remains a mystery, but the presence of REM sleep suggests that they process experiences and emotions during rest, further supporting the view of elephants as sentient beings. The conservation status of elephants varies by species and region. African savanna elephants are currently listed as endangered, while forest elephants are critically endangered due to severe habitat loss and poaching. Asian elephants are also endangered, with fewer than 50,000 remaining in fragmented habitats across 13 countries. Protecting these populations requires international cooperation, strong legal frameworks, and community-based solutions that align conservation with human development. Climate change is an emerging threat that intersects with all others. Altered rainfall patterns affect vegetation cycles, water availability, and disease dynamics. Rising temperatures can make certain habitats uninhabitable, forcing elephants into new areas where they may face conflict or isolation. Conservationists are now working to create climate-resilient landscapes, plant native vegetation, and support biodiversity to ensure elephants can adapt to a rapidly changing world. At the heart of all these efforts is the recognition that elephants are not just wildlife. They are keystone species, cultural icons, and intelligent beings that challenge the boundaries of what we consider animal behavior. They inspire awe, demand respect, and deserve protection not just for what they do for ecosystems, but for what they represent in our collective human story. In their long migrations, careful parenting, deep bonds, and haunting expressions of grief, elephants offer us a mirror. They remind us that strength does not exclude sensitivity, that intelligence includes emotion, and that leadership can be rooted in compassion. They are teachers in their own right if we are humble enough to learn. Elephants, with their long evolutionary lineage, have shaped and been shaped by ecosystems, climatic shifts, and human civilizations for millions of years. The earliest known ancestors of modern elephants appeared over 55 million years ago, and the lineage has included more than 160 extinct species, such as mammoths and mastodons. These ancient proboscideans once roamed all continents except Australia and Antarctica. Over time, climatic changes and human pressures led to the extinction of many of these species, leaving only the three that survive today. The evolutionary success of elephants is closely tied to their adaptability, intelligence, and complex social structures. Their massive bodies and long gestation periods require significant resource investment, so elephants evolved slowly and deliberately, relying on learned behavior and social knowledge to navigate environmental challenges. Fossil records show how their teeth changed over time, from simple grinding surfaces to complex ridged molars suited for tough vegetation. Modern elephants replace their teeth several times throughout their lives. Each elephant has 6 sets of molars in its lifetime, and once the final set wears out, usually in their 50s or 60s, they can no longer chew effectively, often leading to starvation in the wild. Elephants' trunks also represent a pinnacle of anatomical innovation. Able to move in nearly any direction, lift heavy logs, or manipulate delicate objects, the trunk functions both as a high-strength tool and a precise sensory organ. It is capable of identifying scents from miles away, distinguishing between different types of plants, and even detecting the presence of other animals long before they can be seen. The tip of an African elephant's trunk has 2 finger-like projections, allowing for precise pinching and gripping, while Asian elephants have 1 projection and typically use a wrapping method to pick things up. The vocalizations of elephants have become a rich area of scientific study. Elephants are known to produce a range of sounds, including low-frequency rumbles that can travel up to 10 kilometers through the ground. These seismic signals are detected by sensitive cells in the feet and trunk tip and are used for long-distance communication, especially in areas with dense vegetation. Vocal mimicry has also been observed. Some elephants have been known to imitate the sound of trucks, other animals, and even human speech patterns when kept in captivity. This ability suggests a high degree of auditory memory and vocal control, further emphasizing their cognitive sophistication. Cognitive mapping, the internal process by which elephants remember and navigate vast landscapes, is another vital skill. An elephant can remember dozens, even hundreds, of water sources, paths, and feeding grounds across large ranges. Some populations migrate seasonally, traveling hundreds of miles in search of resources. These migrations are not random. They follow pathways that have been passed down through generations. This knowledge is held particularly by matriarchs, whose long life experience becomes the literal roadmap for the herd's survival. Elephants have also shown the ability to solve complex spatial puzzles and demonstrate delayed gratification, something that only a handful of non-human animals are capable of. In experimental settings, elephants have figured out how to retrieve food using cooperative methods, showing that they understand the concept of partnership. They have also displayed awareness of fairness. In group tasks, if one elephant receives a reward and another does not, the unrewarded individual may stop cooperating, indicating a sense of equity and expectation. The ethical implications of this level of intelligence are significant. Increasingly, researchers and philosophers argue that elephants meet many of the criteria for personhood, a concept traditionally reserved for humans. These criteria include self-awareness, intentionality, empathy, social complexity, and an understanding of time. In legal terms, this argument has led to petitions in some countries for elephants to receive the status of legal persons, affording them protections that go beyond standard animal welfare laws. Though controversial, this legal movement highlights a growing shift in how society views the rights and moral status of intelligent non-human animals. In their natural habitats, elephants influence biodiversity in countless ways. By felling trees and breaking up dense vegetation, they open up landscapes, creating space for grasses and shrubs that support other species. In forest environments, they act as key seed dispersers, consuming fruits and excreting seeds over long distances. Some plant species rely almost entirely on elephants for reproduction, making them true keystone species. Their water-digging behavior creates mini reservoirs in dry seasons, which are used by antelope, birds, and even predators. These ecosystem services are invaluable, and their loss would trigger cascading effects through the food chain. Another remarkable aspect of elephant life is the role of play. Play is often cited as a sign of advanced intelligence and emotional health, and elephants engage in playful behaviors throughout their lives, not just in childhood. Calves can be seen mock charging one another, sliding in mud, or running circles around their elders. Adults sometimes play with logs, sticks, and water jets, engaging in behaviors that appear to serve no immediate survival function but seem driven by curiosity, enjoyment, and bonding. Play strengthens social ties and helps young elephants learn vital skills in a low-risk environment. Touch is a central part of elephant life. Physical contact is used not just for practical reasons, but also for emotional expression. Elephants greet each other by entwining trunks, much like a handshake or hug. They use their trunks to pat and caress distressed individuals, particularly calves that are separated from their mothers, or adults who have experienced loss. This tactile communication reinforces group cohesion and provides comfort in times of stress or uncertainty. It also plays a role in courtship, conflict resolution, and post-conflict reconciliation, behaviors that closely mirror human social patterns. Conflict resolution is another key feature of elephants' social life. When disputes arise over food, mating rights, or dominance, they are often resolved without violence. Ritualized displays such as ear flapping, trunk raising, and mock charges serve as non-lethal ways to assert dominance or express displeasure. Only rarely do these interactions escalate to physical fights, and when they do, the risks are high. Males sometimes engage in serious combat during must, but even then, fatal injuries are uncommon. Social harmony is prioritized, and elephants have been observed reconciling after disputes, touching and vocalizing gently to restore peace. While wild elephants live in matriarchal herds, captivity often separates individuals based on age, sex, or practical concerns, leading to unnatural groupings. This disrupts their social development and can cause psychological harm. Elephants in zoos or entertainment facilities may suffer from chronic stress, depression, or aggression, particularly if they are kept in isolation. Loneliness can be devastating for such a socially dependent species. Some elephants in captivity have exhibited signs of mental illness, including repetitive behaviors, refusal to eat, or even self-harm. further emphasizing the need for environments that reflect their natural needs. Efforts to address these issues include sanctuary-based care, where elephants live in semi-wild conditions with freedom to roam, interact, and form bonds on their own terms. These sanctuaries often rescue elephants from abusive industries, providing them with veterinary care, nutritious food, and the opportunity to heal psychologically. Stories abound of elephants who were once despondent and unresponsive, gradually regaining vitality and social behavior when placed in a supportive environment. The healing process can take months or even years, but the transformation often serves as a testament to the resilience and emotional depth of elephants. Breeding in captivity is a controversial topic. While it might seem like a positive step towards species preservation, many captive breeding programs have poor success rates and raise ethical questions. Calves born in captivity rarely experience the rich social structures and migratory experiences of wild herds. Moreover, captive bred elephants may become used to human presence, making them unsuitable for reintroduction into the wild. In some cases, calves are separated from mothers at a young age, causing psychological trauma that can echo through their lives. Conservationists increasingly argue that resources are better spent protecting wild habitats and addressing the root causes of population decline. International cooperation is essential to elephant conservation. Organizations such as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, regulate the trade of elephant products, including ivory, skins, and live specimens. While CITES has made significant strides, enforcement remains a challenge in many regions. Corruption, underfunding, and lack of political will can undermine even the most well-intentioned policies. Successful conservation requires partnerships between governments, non-governmental organizations, local communities, and international donors. Community-based conservation has proven especially effective in recent years. By involving local populations in the protection of elephants, these programs create incentives for coexistence. Revenue from ecotourism, sustainable agriculture, and conservation employment can offset the costs of living alongside elephants. Education plays a critical role in these efforts. When people understand the ecological and cultural value of elephants, they are more likely to protect them. Outreach programs in schools, villages, and urban centers help bridge the gap between human development and wildlife preservation. Technology is increasingly being used to monitor elephant populations and combat poaching. Satellite collars allow researchers to track elephant movements in real time, identifying migration corridors and human-wildlife conflict hotspots. Aerial drones can cover large areas quickly, detecting poachers or illegal activities that would otherwise go unnoticed. Camera traps capture images of wildlife and trespassers alike, while acoustic sensors pick up gunshots, engine sounds, or distress calls. Artificial intelligence is being employed to analyze massive data sets and predict poaching threats, enabling faster and more effective interventions. Some of the most innovative approaches involve using the elephant's own behaviors to guide conservation. For example, researchers have studied how elephants respond to beehives and discover that they tend to avoid areas with active colonies. This insight led to the development of beehive fences, which not only deter elephants from raiding crops, but also provide farmers with honey as an additional income source. Similar behavioral insights are being used to design wildlife crossings, buffer zones, and alternative water sources that reduce conflict and support elephant needs. Cultural storytelling is another powerful tool in elephant conservation. In many indigenous and rural communities, elephants are woven into folklore, mythology, and spiritual beliefs. By highlighting these connections, conservationists can tap into local values and traditions that support protection. Storytelling also resonates with global audiences, helping to build empathy and engagement through media, literature, and the arts. Documentaries, novels, paintings, and music have all played a role in raising awareness about elephants and inspiring action. Ultimately, saving elephants is not just about preserving a species, it is about maintaining balance in ecosystems, honoring cultural heritage, and recognizing the value of intelligence and emotional complexity beyond our own species. Elephants challenge us to expand our moral circle, to see the world through the eyes of another, and to act not out of convenience, but out of compassion. In their size, they embody power. In their touch, they show tenderness. In their memories, they hold the stories of generations. They are teachers, leaders, mourners, and nurturers. They are more than just animals. They are nations of knowledge, walking across the land with the weight of ancient wisdom and modern peril, pressing down on every step. Their fate is linked to ours, not just ecologically, but ethically. As we look to the future, the question is not whether elephants will survive, but whether we will allow them to live the way they were meant to live: wild, free, connected, and unafraid. Human fascination with elephants has spanned centuries, and across cultures, they have been revered as symbols of wisdom, strength, patience, and spiritual significance. In Hinduism, the elephant headed god Ganesha is considered the remover of obstacles and the patron of beginnings and intellect. In Buddhist traditions, elephants represent mental strength and are often portrayed as vehicles of spiritual leaders. In African cultures, elephants symbolize leadership and community. The matriarchal structure of herds is often reflected in local lore and proverbs. These cultural perceptions are not arbitrary. They mirror the very real and observable traits elephants display in the wild. Across the globe, historical records show elephants were once widely distributed throughout Africa, Asia, and even parts of Europe during ancient times. Ancient Egyptians and Carthaginians trained elephants for warfare, most notably in the campaigns of Hannibal, who famously led a contingent of war elephants across the Alps. In Southeast Asia, elephants have long been used in logging, religious ceremonies, and as royal symbols. In Thailand and India, trained elephants were once part of the royal stables and parades. These traditions persist in various forms today, though often reinterpreted through the lens of modern ethics and conservation. The capture and training of wild elephants, however, has long raised concerns. The process of domestication often involved traumatic separation from the herd, followed by intense physical and psychological conditioning, known as crushing or fajan in some cultures. This process was aimed at breaking the elephant's spirit. In response, modern conservationists and animal rights groups have increasingly condemned these practices. Some countries have taken steps to ban wild captures, while others have established guidelines for humane treatment and phased out elephant performances in entertainment altogether. Elephants in tourism face a complicated dilemma. On one hand, they can generate substantial income that supports local communities and funds conservation. On the other hand, if not properly regulated, tourism can lead to exploitation, overwork, and poor living conditions for the animals. Ethical tourism models promote observation rather than interaction, offering guided treks, sanctuary visits, or wildlife safaris, where elephants are observed from a respectful distance. These approaches ensure that elephants remain in natural or semi natural conditions without being forced to perform or give rides. Even in well managed environments, elephants face serious health concerns. One of the most common problems in captivity is foot disease, resulting from prolonged standing on hard surfaces without sufficient movement. This can lead to infections, arthritis, and even death if untreated. Obesity is also a frequent issue among elephants who lack sufficient exercise or are fed unnatural diets. In contrast, wild elephants walk up to 30 kilometers a day, browsing constantly and maintaining lean body mass suited for mobility and endurance. Another major challenge is the emotional toll of captivity. Studies have documented signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, in elephants who have been orphaned, abused, or held in poor conditions. These individuals may show repetitive behaviors such as swaying, head bobbing, or pacing, known as stereotypies. While not all stereotypic behavior indicates suffering, it is often a red flag of chronic stress or boredom. Behavioral enrichment programs are now standard in many progressive zoos and sanctuaries, offering elephants opportunities for problem solving, socialization, and physical activity. One of the most striking examples of elephant emotion is their response to death. When a member of the herd dies, elephants often engage in behaviors that suggest mourning. They may touch the body gently with their trunks, stand quietly for hours or days, and return repeatedly to the site of death. They have been seen to cover the corpse with leaves, dirt, or branches, a behavior that resembles burial. In some cases, elephants have even shown interest in the bones or tusks of deceased individuals long after decomposition, gently caressing or carrying them. These observations are more than anecdotal. Scientific studies have documented elephants altering their routes to visit the sites where companions died, showing clear signs of recognition and emotional processing. When elephants encounter the bones of a familiar individual, their behavior becomes especially attentive. Calves may stay close to their mother's body, vocalizing in distress or refusing to leave. The herd will often slow down and remain quiet, creating an atmosphere of solemnity rarely observed in wild animals. While we must be cautious not to anthropomorphize, it is difficult to deny that elephants experience loss deeply. Their mourning behaviors are not limited to close relatives. Even when encountering the remains of unrelated elephants, they show unusual levels of interest and tenderness. This sensitivity to death has prompted comparisons to human grieving, leading many researchers to include elephants in the short list of animals capable of complex emotional awareness, alongside great apes, dolphins, and certain bird species like corvids. The loss of a matriarch is especially significant. As the leader and memory holder of the herd, her absence can disrupt social order, migration knowledge, and even survival skills. Studies have shown that orphaned herds, or those led by younger, inexperienced females, face higher mortality rates and are more likely to come into conflict with humans. The knowledge passed down through generations is not stored in genes. It lives in the minds of the oldest and wisest. And when they are lost, entire traditions can vanish. Elephants are also affected by the deaths of humans, particularly those they had close contact with. There are verified reports of elephants standing quietly outside the homes of deceased keepers or rescuers, as if paying respects. While it's impossible to know what they understand, the consistency and solemnity of these actions suggest a level of emotional complexity beyond mere habit or training. The emotional lives of elephants extend beyond grief. They display joy, curiosity, jealousy, rage, and affection. Young elephants engage in playful wrestling and chasing, while adults may trumpet in celebration after reuniting with a long-lost herd member. Mothers show intense protective instincts, placing themselves between calves and threats, and using coordinated movements to guide and discipline their young. Male elephants, often viewed as solitary, are also capable of forming long-term friendships and mentoring younger bulls. One of the most misunderstood aspects of male elephant behavior is must, a periodic condition marked by high testosterone levels, increased aggression, and a strong smelling secretion from the temporal glands. During must, males compete for mating opportunities, sometimes engaging in violent confrontations. Despite the intensity of must, it serves an important biological function by ensuring that the most physically and socially dominant males reproduce. Interestingly, some older males can suppress the must of younger ones simply through presence, a phenomenon known as social suppression. This again speaks to the complex social rules governing elephant society. Female elephants, by contrast, live in stable, multi-generational groups centered around a matriarch. These herds typically consist of mothers, daughters, sisters, and their offspring. Cooperation is key. Mothers may share nursing duties, help each other during birth, and raise orphaned calves communally. This level of social bonding is rarely matched in the animal kingdom and has been likened to extended human families. Communication within the herd is constant, involving touch, sound, and even body positioning. When danger approaches, elephants often adopt protective formations, with calves in the center and adults facing outward. Elephants also show foresight and planning. There are accounts of elephants blocking roads or dismantling fences to reach seasonal food or water sources, demonstrating both memory and problem solving. They modify tools, strip bark from trees to create specific textures, and have even been observed using sticks to scratch hard-to-reach spots. In some regions, elephants time their movements to avoid human activity, traveling at night or using alternate routes to bypass villages. This cautious behavior suggests an awareness of risk and the ability to adapt strategies accordingly. Climate change poses a growing threat to elephants, particularly as droughts become more frequent and prolonged. In regions like East Africa, drying rivers and shrinking waterholes force herds to travel farther, increasing the risk of exhaustion and conflict with humans. Food scarcity also affects reproduction rates, calf survival, and herd cohesion. Conservationists are working to identify and protect critical water sources and migration corridors to help elephants adapt to changing climates. In some areas, artificial water holes and supplemental feeding have been introduced as emergency measures, though these are not long-term solutions. The fragmentation of elephant habitats due to agriculture, mining, and urbanization has also made survival more difficult. When elephant ranges are broken up, genetic diversity declines and populations become isolated. This can lead to inbreeding, reduced fertility, and vulnerability to disease. Efforts are underway in many countries to establish wildlife corridors, strips of protected land that connect fragmented habitats and allow for safe movement. These corridors often require cooperation with private landowners and local communities and must be tailored to the landscape and elephant behavior. Elephants are also at risk from diseases, some of which are exacerbated by close proximity to livestock and humans. Tuberculosis, for example, has been detected in both wild and captive elephants and can be transmitted across species. Elephant endotheliotropic herpes virus, EEHV, is a particularly deadly disease that affects young Asian elephants and has no known cure. Ongoing research seeks to develop vaccines and improve diagnostic methods to manage outbreaks. On the international stage, the future of elephants is often shaped by policy decisions. Debates over ivory trade continue to divide conservationists, governments, and stakeholders. Some argue that limited legal ivory sales could fund conservation, while others believe any trade, legal or otherwise, stimulates demand and facilitates illegal poaching. Many countries, including China and the US, have implemented domestic ivory bans, which have helped reduce demand. However, enforcement and loopholes remain challenges, especially in countries with high corruption or porous borders. Grassroots activism has played a vital role in shaping these policies. Campaigns led by young conservationists, indigenous leaders, and global influencers have brought elephant issues to mainstream attention. Social media has become a powerful tool, spreading awareness, organizing petitions, and exposing abuse. Documentaries, exposés, and viral videos have shifted public opinion and pressured industries to change. Airlines and shipping companies have banned ivory transport. Travel agencies have dropped elephant rides. And corporations have committed to cruelty-free policies. Elephants continue to inspire scientific curiosity and artistic admiration. In neuroscience, studies of elephant brains have revealed dense clusters of neurons in the cerebral cortex and unusually large hippocampi, associated with memory and emotion. In visual art, elephants have been subjects of cave paintings, sculpture, and temple carvings for millennia. In literature and film, they appear as wise mentors, noble beasts, or tragic victims, symbols of nature's grandeur and fragility. In the final analysis, elephants are more than the sum of their parts. Their size, intelligence, emotional depth, and ecological role make them one of the most important and awe-inspiring creatures on Earth. Protecting them is not just a matter of biology, it is a moral imperative. The way we treat elephants reflects the values we hold as a species. Are we capable of coexistence? Can we balance progress with preservation? Do we have the will to safeguard not just our future, but theirs as well? The answers to these questions lie not just in legislation, technology, or conservation plans, but in empathy. When we look into an elephant's eye and see understanding, we are reminded that we share this planet with beings who feel, think, and remember. Their stories, like ours, are filled with joy, sorrow, struggle, and hope. And if we choose to listen, to protect, and to honor them, we may just preserve something far greater than a species. We may preserve a sense of connection to the wild and to ourselves. Elephants are more than just icons of the wild. They're living proof of nature's depth, intelligence, and emotion. As we learn more about them, we're reminded of the deep connections all life shares. Protecting elephants isn't just about saving a species. It's about honoring the best parts of ourselves.